We are live on the Side Quest live for a funky Friday edition. That's how I started off my meetings
funky.
today. It's not funky. It's funky.
Not funky.
I'm
fresh.
Dolly Domofsky, Taylor Bliss,
Not funky.
Zach Funky Quest.
Very funky.
Very funky. I've started kicking off my meetings at the office, all my call-ins with welcome to today's check-in for the surfacing products. I'm Dolly Domofsky. I'm going to be talking about the design. Here with me today is my engineer, Steven, and my finance manager. And they're like, what's going on here? Try it, Taylor. It works. You too, Zach. Just kick it off like you're on a podcast and just throw everything.
Sorry, I blanked out.
Good man.
He's introducing his work calls like a podcast. Like, here's my financial manager, blah, 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 you know?
No, you're horrible, Zach.
They get
energy. I need energy. I'm just messing with you. Gents.
They are planning to replace you, just an FYI.
Yeah, exactly. Probably because I forgot to color match with you guys today. Forgot the memo to go with the gold and the yellow, the maize and the gold, corn and corn. You guys having a good week ish?
It's finally Friday.
It's finally Friday.
Yeah.
Is it? I was gonna say, is it hot where you guys are? But Zach, it's always hot where you are.
Oh man, it was 108 today.
Oh my god!
It was actually a pretty pleasant day.
Was it?
A little bit of rain.
Yeah.
High in the mid 60s.
Ooh, lucky.
But that all ends tomorrow.
Does it go up to? You're getting our 80 plus degrees tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm wearing 90s tomorrow and Sunday.
It's funny how my weather just becomes your weather at some point. Yes,
it's almost there's almost never a deviation either.
Right.
Like
right.
It always like there's a decent amount of the United States in between the two of us.
Yeah.
And it never leaves the track. It's just like on a hot express.
So here's what's gonna happen. So there's been a fire here, like a couple, like 20 miles out from where I live. And it's been burning pretty bad the last couple of days, but it's going to rain one day this weekend, so that's good. Okay. And the winds are going to change too, so that should also help. But we have all that ash, and then the Sierra Desert, like a bunch of dust is going to be coming over here tomorrow. So it's that. This weekend is just dust and smoke and smog. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. It will be awesome. It'll be really awesome as everything melts away. We had a torrential downpour this morning at like 4:00 in the morning. Watered my lawn. It's great because it actually missed folks just south of us, so we got a ton of rain. Now here we are. It's got super sizzly. It's like 80. It's still 85 degrees right now at 9:15, so that's good. Fire pit weather.
It is. See, it's 8:00 here. It's 99 degrees.
Oh, so it's cooling down a bit. But you're on solar. You're on solar, so that's good.
Yeah, I'm on solar, so whatever.
You're off the grid, baby. Gentlemen, first of all, hello to you guys. Hello to all of our beautiful listeners and viewers. Hope you're all having.
Hard to keep track.
I know, totally difficult.
There's 1,000 of them at least.
Yeah, maybe if we're lucky. No, it's always good to be chatting with everybody. It's Friday night. It's fun times for all. We're gonna kick out a good hour of content, #content, and it's gonna be a good time. It's been a slow week because we're kind of building up to quote unquote E3, which is not happening. But I did post the E3 schedule, and I think I literally called it the E3 2022 conference or press conference schedule, and we're getting a bunch of the SEO works, baby. Just wait till the E3 2022 party list goes live this weekend. It'll basically be a map to your kitchens. And
you should make a fake one.
That I'm really
okay. Yeah,
I'm really gonna make one.
That would be good.
But yeah, let's get in a little bit of the news. We have a couple topics here, and then we're talking about some of the stuff we've been playing. We've been playing a lot, surprisingly, a lot of review stuff. First little bit of news that I want to get into, and it did kind of break early today. I'll post the I'll share where it's from. It's from, I think it was called Puck.
Oh yeah, I was in the middle of something.
Yeah.
So I didn't check to see, but
so
yeah.
this is about it's from Puck. Puck apparently is a I've never heard of Puck before, but apparently it's a very reputable legit news source. But Comcast Brian Roberts was working on something, and that was to purchase EA, Electronic Arts. So obviously there were a ton of mergers that were happening, a ton of buyouts. We were talking about the all the craziness around Activision and Microsoft, which is daily now, I think, at some point. And was it the Take-Two and the Zynga merger actually gets completed next week sometime. I think it's official next week. The Destiny stuff with Bungie at PlayStation is going to get finalized here pretty soon too. And there's just mergers and acquisitions all the time. This would have been a pretty massive one. Obviously, we've seen like Amazon has picked up developers in the past, here and there. Netflix has picked up a couple. They're usually smaller or very single product specific developers. Not in this case, as it's EA, which is, I think, right near, not as big as Activision maybe because of Blizzard and King, but they're pretty well known. You guys may have heard of them. And Comcast was interested in picking them up, and it almost happened. Apparently, it fizzled out like literally very recently as that kind of died off. But yeah, it's wild news.
Yeah, I think it's crazier than the other acquisitions we've heard of, honestly. Because like someone like Comcast buying EA, that's like Comcast as a whole like owns like 40% of the news media. Just in general, they own a lot. So it's like it'd be weird to see them kind of branch into games, but also like I want to know what a EA would look like under Comcast. Like, how would they integrate that with their already existing, things?
Sure.
Like, how would that work? It would just be weird. Like, I can't imagine it even working out. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. The other ones they list in there, like Disney and like ABC, Amazon. It's like, it's crazy. Like, it's like actually like that's like if Apple wanted to get into gaming, that's how they would do it. Mm-hmm. So it's like, it's always weird to know, because like these conversations are always happening behind the scenes, but it's also just crazy to actually finally see it like up front. Like, whoa, like this is where these things are now. But I think really with the Activision news, it's kind of pushed a lot of other companies to think, oh, we can actually do this too. Like we can get a slice of the pie finally. Like we can. So it's, yeah, I don't know. I'm glad it fell through kind of, but also kind of not, because I would just love to see what would happen, because it's something new, like this never been done before in gaming. So I don't know.
How bizarre is it to think that a company as large as NBC Universal is just a division of the company of Comcast?
Yeah, right? No.
it's actually insane.
It really is. What I find super interesting about this is Comcast, obviously being as massive as they are, their ISP service and their ability to deliver content. You can play games through your Xfinity box right now. So there are things as simple as like Wordle style games, and then there's stuff that they actually have some more well-known kind of higher quality RuneScape.
RuneScape, actually.
RuneScape. Mortal Kombat. No, they do have games on there. How much of that would have been, how much of like EA stuff could have been integrated in that, right? You'll be watching the Super Bowl, right? You'll watch Super Bowl. Super Bowl's on NBC, let's say, NBC owns EA, and it's like, oh, by the way, you could play this game now. Click the button on your Xfinity remote and play this Super Bowl moment right now
That's
because
like
EA developed it.
what I'm thinking about, because like realistically, a company could just buy EA and just be an EA thing. Like they'd be like, hey, this is the only place you can play EA games, and it would work. Like especially with that concept of just like having a Comcast box, like being like, hey, here you can play every sports game we have, the next Mass Effect. Like you can just like play it, like, and integrating that with their already existing TV brands would, like, it's a whole different level. And it's crazy that we're at that point, but it really, I think, is all due to Xbox and the Game Pass and all the things that they've been doing. Like it's like proving that there's alternative ways to get games out to people, and people who are smart or people who are in business are paying attention to that.
It really does feel like maybe even 5 years from now, we could be looking at a very different gaming landscape. Definitely 10 years from now, there'll be companies that have merged and fallen and grown. But I think even 5 years from now, we might be seeing, we'll probably have seen a merger like this or a purchase like this go through from an ISP standpoint.
No, I wouldn't I wouldn't be surprised if in 20 years, all gaming is kind of just under like one guy, like one thing, like every, like Comcast owns every game, like,
and it's gonna be fucking Waluigi sitting on top.
I'm gonna hold out hope
Jim Ryan
for the greater good.
No, you have to fall into despair and think about the negative.
Despair.
No, I mean, obviously, you're getting these big giant companies bought and purchased and merged and all that kind of stuff. But again, indies and the AA and the smaller level stuff, there is plenty of content coming out, and you're kind of seeing again, we talked about in the past. This is why we freaking love indies so much here at SideQuesting, is because they're taking chances, but they really are holding up the industry because everything's getting postponed. Everything's getting delayed. We talked about it a little bit last week. Taylor, you hopped in at the very end and was my only partner. We talked about Starfield a bit. But this year is, you got a very front-loaded portion of the year, and the second half could very well be us just saying, well, Call of Duty's coming out, and there's a few Mario Kart tracks that you might want to play, and that's essentially it, right? So
I think I think the fall's gonna be Nintendo. Like there's no way Nintendo doesn't have 2-3 games waiting for us that they've delayed for 2 years, like
they're gonna have Bayonetta 3 and Pokemon. Bayonetta will
Xenoblade.
Will they?
Bayonetta will be there. Pokemon will definitely be there. I'll say Pokemon will definitely be there, but Bayonetta
I'll point out that if Bayonetta doesn't come out by the end of this year, that game doesn't exist.
That game doesn't exist. It's just been in trailers. And then you'll get the Metroid, one of the Metroid Prime remakes or something. I don't know. Actually, Wind Waker's 20th anniversary is in December, so I could definitely.
So we're definitely getting that. Yeah.
That'll be the Wind Waker, and it won't be Wind Waker Twilight Princess. It'll just be Wind Waker again because they'll sell that separately because that's how Nintendo does it. And guess what? We'll buy it, and it'll outsell the Wii U version. Which is what typically happens. Moving on to different news. There is a hot new game coming to...
What year is it?
What year is it? No. There is a hot new game that you're all going to want to play that's now coming to every platform because you guys have been asking for it. Fall Guys is going free to play.
It's like... Okay, so I was negative on this the first time it was announced because it's like this has been like 2 years in the making, really. But with how these things work, once this game goes free to play, I feel like it's going to blow up again. Like I feel like this is going to be the thing for a couple of months. But it's also cross-platform too, which is pretty important.
Cross-save, cross-platform.
They're set up. I mean, the game's solid. The game's good. Like, it's not like it's bad. So they just kind of missed the opportunity. They landed the opportunity, but then they missed the continuation. Like they missed expanding it. This is the expansion they needed. So, yeah.
You don't
I
want
mean,
this to go the way of Among Us. I know we talked about that before.
yeah.
But,
No, Among Us is dead.
it's dead. It's still played by a bajillion people, but it's dead. Yeah.
Listen, check the Steam charts. That game
Yeah,
doesn't exist
it doesn't
anymore.
exist on Steam
Sorry,
anymore.
guys. I don't know if you looked at Steam charts, but no, not a single person plays Among Us anymore.
Nope. No. But yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, so I mean, they had announced that it was coming to Xbox and Switch, and it does, feels it's not a. They showed the video for the Switch version, and they showed the video for the Xbox version, and I couldn't tell the difference. It's like, well, it just looked like beans, man, colorful beans with legs and arms, and it's the kind of aesthetic that works for everything, right?
Yep.
But yeah, I mean it's Fall Guys. Fall Guys is a fun game. And going free to play.
It's fine.
Yeah,
I don't
fine.
know. I've never really felt myself getting lost in a rich Fall Guys gameplay session.
I think the issue, my issue at least, is it's always felt like a free to play game.
Yes.
Like that's why I was like, why am I spending 20? I think it was $30 actually on this.
It was more. I believe
game.
It was more than 20.
Well, if you had a PlayStation, you got it for free.
Yeah.
So,
but then
like free to play.
Yeah, but then they were like, "Hey, you can't add friends, you can't like all this stuff." But I feel like that initial period was just like a beta. Like this feels like the real launch of the game now, which is kind of how games work now, because games can come out, fail, air quotes, fail, and then just come back with the resurgence. Like, hey, it's free to play now. Like that'll just make a game like win. So yeah, it's cool. We'll be talking about this game for the next like 3 or 4 years still. Like, it's going to be one of those. Yeah.
Yep. What impressed me the most about the whole announcement is the fact that it is getting delisted from Steam.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Which means that Epic paid I mean, you don't delist from Steam unless you're getting a good chunk of money.
Yeah, true.
Like Steam has so many people on it. I don't know. Especially when you're free to play, you want the place where the install base is. So imagine the deal that you are gonna make in order to say, okay, I don't need to be available there anymore. Like that really. But then again, maybe they're just like, it was just a little bit of a cherry on top, and the console is what they really wanted.
Yeah, I think they needed Epic servers to do what they wanted to do. So they just kind of just took it like, hey, like we need y'all. We'll take the extra money too. Because like they definitely need the bandwidth for this, like cross-platform. And also, I was just thinking about it. Like, if they add the ability to like have like a code put up, so like streamers can be like, "Hey, jump in this game," like that's all they need to do.
Yeah,
and the game will last forever.
So, I think being on more platforms is going to end up doing that for sure.
Make it like almost Jackbox style, or even the way that Among Us did it, where it's like, all right, we're going to lobby it up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I agree with that.
And it's also pretty safe to stream because the names are all randomized and
now
there's
all
no
randomized.
voice chat. Yeah, so it's like it's pretty safe to stream, so anybody can do it without fear of like someone saying a curse word or whatever. Yeah.
Excellent. There it is.
The beans are safe.
Your beans are safe. Your beans are safe. You know what's not safe?
I don't.
And
I forgot.
Well, what's not safe is anything that Norman Reedus is working.
Oh yeah.
Because apparently he just confirmed that he started working on Death Stranding 2. We just started
okay. I don't think they are. I think he's just confused. I think he's like, we just did the. I think he's like, we just did the director's cut stuff. I had to record extra scenes. Like, I think that's what he's talking about. I don't. I can.
Yeah, but you would think that if that was the case, we would have heard from him by now.
Right.
for because like it's such an easy correction.
Mm-hmm. Maybe, I don't know.
There's been so much silence after it that that's the only reason why I'm considering that it's real.
Yeah, I don't want it to be real. Is I don't think a Death Stranding sequel would work because the magic's already gone. Like once you play that game, you just like no. Like
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't
if
know what
you've
else
played
they
it
could
from
add
beginning,
to it.
if you've played it from beginning to end, I'm like, I don't know, unless they cycle through a few
Unless they
thousand
genre
years.
change, they like no, like they would have to change genres and change the mechanics of the game. Like they couldn't just do the game again because
Mm.
the magic of that game is discovering how to play that game. Like that's what
Well,
makes that game fun.
here it is from Leo edit Leo the magazine.
Yeah.
They're basically interviewing Norman Reedus, and they say, okay, so got the book, and you're filming Death Stranding, the video game, which is weird. You're filming Death Stranding. Obviously, they know what they're talking about. He said, we just started the second one. Oh, how did that come about?
The same story.
It's just a funny Guillermo del Toro story, which is like, hey, some dude's gonna call you, just say yes.
Yeah,
I love it.
That's the story that's been told for
What?
like
No, don't be an asshole.
4 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stop being an asshole. Just say yes. He's like, then I was like a day later, I was in San Diego. So there you go. And he says, yeah, 2 to 3 years on the mocap session.
I love how much of a Luddite Norman Reedus makes himself sound.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just like, I mean, it's, when it's like, man, this ain't Miss Pac-Man. It's so realistic. It's so futuristic. Yeah. It's like, as if games
so
have never.
And beautiful.
It's like as if no game has ever approached this amount of realism or futurism.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's always what you hear actors say when they do their first game. They always say this, like, "Oh my gosh, this game is so complex and crazy." Like, yeah, because you haven't seen a video game for like 20 years.
But when your reference point is Miss Pac-Man, that is how it tends to go. But I mean, then again, the way that the last sentence here in this paragraph, sorry for absolutely slapping my microphone. I mean, it maybe took 2 or 3 years to finish the mocap sessions, and then the game came out, and then it won awards. So we just started part 2. At first, the way the way the article started, I was like, okay, this is an article that takes place in the past. But the way that that's written is, I don't know. I mean, it's part 2 can't, I mean, director's cut being the part 2, but then again, I don't know. Maybe he is actually.
I feel like he's just confused because he doesn't know what a video game is. Like, we've already established that.
But how much could he confuse a director's cut with a part 2? They couldn't have involved him much in it.
They may have. Yeah.
There's a lot of new animations and new cutscenes in the director's cut.
Zach, you had a theory. You said
that's my theory. He's just confused. He doesn't know what's going. He just thinks that he already we just started it. Like he's just like waiting on that call from Kojima, but there isn't the next call because it's done.
When was the director's cut released?
Like the end of last year.
So okay, right at the end of last. So this article may have been written, and the interview may have been a while back. So it doesn't say when it was. It doesn't say when the thing was written, but it may have been written. It may have been written when they were still working on the second one, the director's cut.
And in my heart, and in the deepest part of my heart, I don't want it to be true because it kind of ruins the magic of Kojima games. Where the lead up to learning what his game is the most enthralling part of it. Like, what is this? Like, I don't want to know that it exists. Like, I don't. That's why I'm excited about his other project that's apparently done that he hasn't shown off yet. I want to see that.
Maybe that'll be at E3. Abandoned. I thought you'd be excited for Abandoned,
dude. that whole thing is crazy. And like we said,
it's either about that one, Dally.
What's that?
Did you bring that one up last week on the podcast?
I don't think I did not bring that up. So go ahead.
I mean, we can bring that up on this.
I'm just gonna say real quick. That whole thing is crazy because we said it's either Kojima, or is just
I
a
didn't.
crazy, or like a crazy dude who's just like ruining his whole career,
Yeah.
and that,
I
and
think
it
we
ended
were
up
leaning towards
being that.
crazy dude. I think you had a hard on for Kojima because that's
Yeah,
typically.
because
Well, I mean,
I
like, yeah, only
believe in
because that's an
something cool.
exciting idea.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Not
it's
not like
exciting.
not out of any realism. It's
Right.
like, yeah, this would be sick.
Yeah.
But no, the dude who was just I hold on, like now I gotta pull it up because
You just
what
made
was
it
he
up.
what was he doing? But yeah, but like on top of that, he was doing shady shit to like keep the magic going. It was abandoned, right?
Abandoned. Yeah. So, for those who don't know, this is all they had was like a weird, not even a demo. It was just like play.
Oh, the
Download
tweet's
the app.
gone.
Play this. Oh, is it really?
That tweet that you posted is gone. No.
He's being mysterious. It's Kojima.
But luckily we have embeds
Yeah.
that preserve it forever. Let's see. So the exact content was leaks surfaced saying that the game is not in development beyond a small paid demo as part of an investor scam. Also leaked fake Silent Hill images the developer created to keep pushing the fake PT Kojima angle.
What a guy.
So that tweet's gone. However, the Imager album is not.
Love it.
And I don't know. Just the whole thing is fucking absolutely wild bananas. But also, like, for me, is the most logical explanation of the whole thing.
Yeah,
Is that somebody was just
it's
putting
the
on a
sad
huge
realization. Yep.
grift. Just a huge grift.
Yeah, just a
I
huge.
remember
grip.
downloading that app and like waiting. I was like, man, this is gonna be so cool.
Which app?
The abandoned app.
Yeah, the abandoned app.
There was an app? I didn't know that.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
like that,
they released an app. Like
It's like
like
a
we're
several
gonna
gig app. For,
yeah, like we're gonna release a trailer for the next game on
they
this
never
app.
did.
And then then like the day of, like hours into the day, they're like, we just can't get it to work. You're gonna have to wait. And
They've never.
Massive tracking software installed
really
on
is.
multiple
Hey,
phones.
I was outside. I was like doing yard work. And I was like refreshing my phone.
What's great is it's going to be that's right, it's going to be a playable trailer
Yeah, it was a playable trailer. Yeah, that's why.
but-
Yeah, he kept dropping those Kojima terms like playable trailer. Like,
well,
it's Kojima.
just remember now, if you've got that downloaded on your PlayStations, hold on to it there, because just like the Silent Hill, the PT demo, it's could be worth a lot of money one day. Might jack up the price of your PlayStation. Speaking of PlayStation, last little bit of news, and this is certainly some fun PlayStation stuff. You guys hear that the PS Now is almost here. I think it's coming tail end of this month, beginning of next month. They finally released their games lineup.
So hype, who wouldn't know about it?
Hey, look at it. There's Death Stranding is right there.
All the games I already own. Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, typical. They're gonna have those monthly games. Here is your PS4, PS5 catalog. So you got Alienation, sweet. But to be honest, if you don't own any of these games, Days Gone,
good
Demon
deal.
Souls, both Death Strandings, God of War. I mean, Ghost of Tsushima. It's actually a pretty decent deal.
Gravity Rush 2.
This is, Spider-Man, Miles Morales. So you start to think, you're like, oh, actually, there are quite a few games on here that, are kind of, The Last of Us remake is already on there. It hasn't even been officially announced yet. Oh, no, wait, that's the remastered, which is the remake of the original Last of Us that was already, never mind. Last of Us 2 isn't on there. But no, you get all these
Wait, is it not?
No.
Last of Us 2 is not on there. They're still pushing that sucker somehow. But games that came out afterwards, Ghost of Tsushima is on this thing. So
whatever. The better game.
The better game. But yeah, that's just first party. Third party, obviously, Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Way too small of a list is what it is.
However,
oh my god.
However, Hollow Knight
Hollow Knight is highlighted by Team Cherry, and For Honor is on there.
Look at why there's so many asterisks.
Because they're part of the Ubisoft service.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right. I forgot. I did see that announcement.
So there's Final Fantasy 15, the Royal Edition, which is what you already kind of have if you have the PlayStation Plus, whatever. If you have it on the PS5, it basically came with Final Fantasy 15. Mortal Kombat
City
11.
Skylines for PS4.
Yeah.
I cannot think of a worse way to play that game.
Hey, ready? Outer Wilds.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's also on Game Pass. So.
Yeah, I know. So there's some decent games here.
Yeah.
That's not the full list. They said they're still working on some things. I mean, Game of the Year, Guardians of the Galaxy is on there. I am actually surprised Final Fantasy VII isn't on there, even though that was a PlayStation Plus game at one point, right? Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
And it's not on this list, but the classic games catalog, it's very minimal right now.
Oh my god, dude, this is also so small.
And they kept saying this is just part of the list. I think the reason behind that is they're still trying to figure out which games work on this service and which games don't. I do think you're going to get more games, probably not a ton more games right away, but you'll have maybe a few more, maybe like another 10, 15 games, Dark Cloud and Dark Cloud 2, right?
These games already exist on the PS4. That's why they put them on there.
Yes. Yeah, that's why it says PS4, baby.
Yeah, because like I own Rogue Galaxy on the PS4, Dark Cloud 1 on the PS4, Dark Cloud 2 on the PS4, Jack 2, like I own all these games on the PS4.
What kind of sucks is that PSP Super Stardust Portable is the only PSP game that is on there. That's on the whole list. PlayStation, PSP, Superstar. There are more PSP games. I mean, you got Crisis Core and get a bunch of
Vita's not even listed, dog.
Vita's not listed, but yeah, I do think
Cyberpunk 2077.
It's a time trial. It's a time limited game trial. So it's like what are they like? What Nintendo does?
2 hours.
You got 2 hours or whatever it is. Which is in a way, it's kind of weirdly standard, right? What's the Steam return policy? Is it 2 hours on Steam? Something
3.
like that. 3 hours, yeah. So
but you get but I pay $60 and play a game. I can get that $60 back. Like
this, you're doing it for free.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those are the games announced. Nothing like screams out at me. However, if you're just getting a PS5 somehow, if you're able to get a PS5, and you sign up to this thing, having this initial catalog is actually pretty dope.
Yeah,
it's not bad.
I think. Yeah, if you're like a brand new gamer, and you're like this is amazing, but
it really is. It's great.
It isn't like it is for us, for gamers, quotes, but yeah, they're just missing the mark.
Like, a little bit.
Yeah. So whatever.
I mean, the biggest thing for me is that I think about what Game Pass looked like when I bought into it.
Crackdown 3.
Yeah. Right.
And the reason why it made sense was because of the promise of first party inclusion at launch.
Yes.
And that was what allowed for comfort of I mean, aside from the fact that I'm getting it at like less than half cost because I'm doing the Xbox Live conversion. But like, that's what's like, okay, no matter what else they do with it, if I'm getting first party games for free every time, I'm cool. But then the third party coverage really shines, at least in my opinion, for it. Not that Microsoft doesn't have good first party games, but yeah, I don't know. The third party coverage just seems lacking to me.
Well, yeah. So for whatever reason, Sony hates indie developers. I don't know why. Microsoft loves them because they're part of PC, so it's kind of just part of the culture, and that's a huge thing that makes Game Pass important, I think, because like for me, it allows me to find games I've never heard of. Like, hey, I've never heard of this game.
Discoverability is so huge.
let's check this out. Let's check out this game I would never play and see if I like it. Like, there's so many games you can find on Game Pass that are like that, and I don't think I like Xbox is really focused on just the experience of just playing games. That's just kind of their thing. Like, we just want people to play games. And this Sony service just comes across as like, we just want you to buy the thing because we know you want the stuff. Like,
so the Xbox really does feel like a sort of Game Pass feels like a modern streaming, like video streaming service, because you're gonna hop on there, you're gonna see the big blockbusters. Like, I'm gonna see something really cool on Disney Plus or Netflix. I'm gonna see a really cool movie on Netflix that I've been looking forward to, and then I'm like, oh, and then there's Ultimatum is like right next to it. I have no idea what that is. Let me watch that, and I get sucked into like some stupid
Vampire Survivors on Game Pass.
And so that's, I think Microsoft understands that aspect. You have to mix in these indies and lesser known games to really make it sort of a worthwhile experience, because it's part of the experience. Meanwhile, Sony is, here are AAA games for our AAA experience. You want them. It's like, yeah, I want the big games, but I'm just buying into your tunnel and not what else is available on. And to your point, Zach, because they're leaving out indies on this, I'd feel pretty shitty as an indie dev to want to put my game on PlayStation if I'm not going to get the support that I'm going to get on Microsoft.
It's been like that since the beginning of the PS4. Like, because Sony made a big push for, we love indies at the beginning of the PS4, and they pushed an indie game into the limelight, No Man's Sky, and they paid for that pretty heavily. That studio did, but it's like, then they just kind of stopped promoting indies at E3, stopped doing that thing. It's just like, it's strange, but that just created a bunch of growth elsewhere. But I wanted to like circle back on like, I don't know who this is for, right? Like, because like the people who play Sony games already have played most of those games. Like, here's these games that we have. You've played them. Like, you've played the Uncharted, you played Ghost of Tsushima, you played Last of Us, you've played like all of them. So it's like, who is this for besides just to get more people to buy a thing? Like, new gamers. Like, that's just kind of what they're focused on, and that's not what the focus should be. Because like we were saying before, Xbox is focused on the people who already love games. Like, and just that alone and having access to that is going to attract more people. Sony's just going about it in the wrong way, and it's not, I don't think it's going to work. They're going to have to rework it a lot, and it might eventually be something cool. And I think a lot of that relies on them having a PC client and having things work with that, which they've been talking about for forever. So I don't know. It's just, I just don't think it's going to work for a while.
It definitely feels like it's designed for the kid at GameStop to sell the grandma who comes in to buy their grandkid a plate. Can I get one of those PlayStation 5s? My grandkid's been crying for them. Yeah, sure. By the way, get this PlayStation Network essential kit for him. It's all the hot games, all the newest games. And oh, sure, that sounds good. This definitely feels like aimed for the parental buyer who has no idea what their kid wants.
It's a very Nintendo tactic. It's very strange.
It is. In a weird way, Nintendo has like almost abandoned it, and Sony's picking up that torch.
What's weird to me is how, in some regards, obviously Nintendo doesn't have a full catalog offering, just the emulated stuff. But,
don't say that word, or they're gonna get you.
It's legit.
No, it's okay. It's okay. They're emulating it. Nintendo's doing it. But Nintendo's coming out before a game comes out and is saying Nintendo Switch Online is going to include all DLC and stuff for this game that's coming out next.
Yeah.
And yes, it's not you're not subscribing and getting the game for free, but it's also much cheaper than those other services.
It's more
And
value than the PlayStation thing.
well,
Like,
that's kind
Yeah.
of what my point is. It's like, how have we entered the bizarro world where a Nintendo is offering something that appears to be a greater value add for a game that Nintendo is like, not last year's game, the AAA game that Nintendo is coming out with like this year. And you're gonna get content by being a subscriber to one of their services.
Yeah.
Kind of new.
because they're catering to they're catering to the people who already have the thing. Sony is
Yep.
catering to people who don't have the thing. It doesn't make any
It
sense.
doesn't make sense. It doesn't make
Well,
sense.
it really doesn't make sense when you look at the platform, like just the state of everything, and they're like, yeah, PS5s are selling out. We can't keep up stock. Quickly create the product for people that don't have the PS5. It's like,
Yeah.
dog, everybody's buying it. We don't have to worry about that. That's
Yeah.
not the problem.
It is. It's such a weird. Yeah. It's a very. You're right. It's a very weird world right now, and I'm curious how this is gonna turn out for some. I do. Yeah. Exactly. To your point. I think this is gonna change and adjust and shift and mold over the next like couple of years here, because if they don't, if this comes out and it doesn't, it ends up being kind of what we think it is, which is not going to set the world on fire. You could see Sony pivot pretty quickly.
But
it
PlayStation
really
1
does-
achievements. The PlayStation Classic games have achievements. That's
Yeah.
going to make people buy it.
Yeah. All
For
right.
Siphon Filter.
Siphon Filter. Give me achievements for IQ, Intelligent Cube. All right, let's move on to stuff we've been playing, and we've been playing a lot. Both you and I are playing one game that we can talk about here in a second. We got the game came out. We got to do our due diligence. You've been playing a separate game that you can talk about, and I've been playing a second game that I can talk about. And then Taylor, have you been? Let's start with Taylor though. Taylor, what have you actually been playing?
I've been playing
Rogue Legacy
Vampires.
2?
No, I already talked about Rogue Legacy 2, and
Yeah, baby.
that game's on the burner for now. Not that it wasn't good, just that I need a break. I picked so instead I picked back up Vampire Survivors.
Nice.
That's a game.
I needed more concentrated video game. And that one's now back on the burner because it's like it's distilled video game. You can only take so much of it at once. I tried out the demo for Soldiers, which that came up in conversation in the Discord, so I wanted to check
I
out
might
the
have a
demo.
code for review.
Maybe. I don't know. That demo was pretty chunky.
Cool.
It's a pretty big.
Yeah.
It's pretty big demo. It's like 2 hours of the game.
It's interesting. It's not what I expected it to be. So.
I thought it was going, based on the trailer, that it was going to be more rogue-like oriented, and it is not. It's actually just a side-scrolling action Metroidvania.
Yeah.
But good.
Yeah.
It feels good. It feels good to play.
It's cool because you get 3 classes to pick from, so that just gives you replay hey, I played through the game, I don't play through it as this other class. Like
See,
that alone just like makes it fun. I think
that 15 years ago me would agree 100%. I'd be like, replayability, it's important. Nowadays me, it's like, that's a really cool feature that I will never make use of. I'm gonna beat that game once and never touch it again. But that's just me. And
I played 2 hours of it last night. I played through most of it as the archer. I think the archer is really fun. But I've tried the other classes and they're
Is this the
interesting.
Soldiers game you're talking about?
Yeah. I'm just talking about the demo part.
The
so
demo
I'm not going
part,
to say anything. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, it's cool. I thought it would be more roguelike-y, but there's leveling up and there's trees and selecting different runes and stuff, and it's
the
fun.
stats make it feel like an older game in a newer shell, but in the good ways. It doesn't feel dated. It just it's reminiscent. It reminds me of some older games. And then I've been playing some Deep Rock Galactic.
Deep Rock Galactic. Getting back into
That's
some
a
So-
good
fun.
one.
That's good.
So
That's
Zach berated me, and he was like, "You can play it solo. It's fine. It's fun."
It
And
is.
it is. And then I also played it with a couple other people. And yeah, it
My
plays really
dog's
well.
trying to open the door.
Yeah, I see
Game in the
that.
background.
It also really plays. It's not fully confirmed. It says works on Steam Deck, but I found it to be
Pretty good.
quite good on Steam Deck actually. So yeah, it's a fun game. Deep Rock
Cool.
Galactic is very good, which many people have known for many
Yeah.
years. It's
Sure.
a
The
very
reason why it's overwhelmingly positive on Steam with like 100,000 reviews.
yeah, it's crazy. It's insane how many people have Deep Rock Galactic.
Yeah.
Here's a game that is also going to get just a ton of positive feedback, and that is a game that came out yesterday that both Zach and I are playing called Deadcraft.
Playing is a loose term here.
So let me lead into this by saying I
I haven't watched this trailer.
I played the demo. This is the intro video. I played the demo at PAX East, which y'all might remember, and I spoke about
Zach,
how the game was basically boring.
There's like farming and stuff though.
Yeah, that's why I said give it to me.
Yeah, he said give me it, and they sent us a couple codes. And it's they throw a bunch of genres together, from farming game to whatever race car in the desert to Mad Max Fury Road right there to some Diablo-ish loot stuff. It's like they're like, let's take bits and pieces of everything, and that'll be cool. It's like, well, not if none of it goes together, and not if you make just a really boring. I mean, that's Lollipop Chainsaw right there, the way she was saying. So, it's a pretty boring. It's a very uneventful game. Very uneventful game.
So
it doesn't do anything spectacularly.
Okay, so here's me, right? All this stuff on screen, I think looks awesome. Like, man, this game looks pretty sick. But genuinely, the way the systems work together is just not good.
You talk about the tutorial, the intro tutorial. Oh
yeah, so
God.
like you basically have this like straight path from like your farm to the city, and the game kind of starts throwing stuff at you like, hey, you can kill dudes, hey, there's a stamina bar, hey, there's a hunger bar, blah blah blah. But all the actions it asks you to do require you to use your stamina. So you're using your stamina, you're running away from zombies, you're killing them. All these things take stamina. And you can run out of stamina and just be dragging your feet for the whole tutorial, because you have to get through the beginning tutorial to learn how to make a fire, to make the thing, to get stamina back.
So I'm going to point here real quick. This little thing is the stamina, which you guys see my pointer there. That's stamina. That's your health. You're also hungry, because this is part of the demo, by the way. You're also hungry, and then this is your water, because you need to have all of these, right? If you run out of water, you die. If you run out of health, you die. If you run out of stamina, you can't move fast enough to get back to where you need to get to, which means you end up dying. And then if you don't maintain your food, like your intake, you turn into a zombie and you die. And it's like, okay, so there are 4 ways to kill me here. And in this tutorial, where you have to get from like over here at the guy's house all the way to like from over here all the way up over this way to this old geezer dude, you will end up dying, and you will lose all your shit, and you start all over again, and you have to do that, and then you're just it's just running back and forth. You're running out of stamina.
It's just a poorly designed tutorial, but also like I think if they would have stripped away like the hunger, the water, the stamina, the game would be pretty fucking fun. Like I would like it a lot.
It in the demo at PAX East, it felt like the effect of the stamina and the water was really minimized. Like I didn't notice any need for water in this game. Essentially, if you don't get enough water, the screen starts to shimmer and you end up, you get kind of sluggish and you die, right? So, and so, yeah, and it's just you need to be OP to enjoy a game like this because there's so many gates to having an enjoyable time. It's like just get rid of all those bars. Just give me a health bar and a power bar. That's it.
It's really linear, which is kind of
really
opposite of what a survival game is. Survival games really aren't linear. They're pretty open. They let you kind of walk around and explore and learn things as you go.
This is the part, zombie Gramps. Yeah, sorry.
This just kind of like shoves you into this part. It says, "Hey, here's the survival mechanics. Here's this little area. Don't dare dash. Don't you dare dash. Don't you dare attack anything, or you're gonna run out of stamina and die." It's so bad. It is. I wanted to get past it so I could play, but I kept running out of stamina.
Yeah, me too.
Like, I just let me play the game. It's.
See, look, he's almost out of stamina here, and he just started moving with the Gramps. And this is a demo by the developers. Like, they're playing this here.
When you swing your weapon, it takes stamina.
So we just keep fighting like this as we head back to town. That's not how you explain. We just keep doing this. It's not how you make a game enjoyable. You don't say that. When
you swing your weapon, it takes stamina. When you roll, it takes stamina.
There's gonna be. So this is out on everything, and it's a budget game, right? It's like what, $30, I think.
Looks like a mobile game ad, which is why I wanted to play it. It looks like one of those mobile game ads.
Yeah. It's a bunch of quests is really all this game is. Just a huge list of quests. It doesn't feel like any of the farming stuff is necessary at all. Like, I could care less about the farming, which you really only need to farm so that you can craft. And you only need to craft to do some of these. It's like you need to craft like 3 of these things so you can open up this part of the quest. Like, so I had to kill zombies, plant their freaking arms, which is great because this game doesn't have any legs. It's that bad where like it's just it's so frustrating.
So it takes.
Thank you. You're welcome.
It takes the like mechanic, because like farming games, what I like about farming games is the fact that they're relaxing is really like not my main concern. I like farming games because I like figuring out how to be as efficient as possible, and I like figuring out. And I like seeing that like increase in production, seeing how I can increase stuff. This doesn't have any of that. It's just like, hey, you need to plant arms so you can get this shit to make some other shit so you can go fight this boss. Like,
you need to plant an arm.
Yeah, it's the thing that sucks is it's genuinely like, I think it would be fun if it didn't have some things. It has like that weird like Suda feeling of like games that I like. I enjoy.
I enjoy Exceed, so and they're
I enjoy these cringy games. I like that. It's fun, but it's like if I can't get past the tutorial, like if your tutorial makes you want to stop playing your game, you failed as a game. Like, yeah, and it also has a sin of having like way too many cutscenes in the first,
and so talky. Like,
yeah,
as you're playing the game, the guy will come up and say, like, you'll start playing, you'll say, I think I should get some water. Yeah, maybe I'll go over there and get some water, but I need to go through the desert to get some water to get over there. I'm like, oh, dude, just have a blinking arrow on the screen that's in the distance. That's all I need. I don't need you to explain every freaking thing that happens.
But see, the thing is, Dolly, that on paper sounds funny, and I would enjoy that. I would enjoy that game.
But it's not executed well at all. It's not executed at all here. Like, I don't mind the little banter he has there with the older dude, because they're actually kind of chatting back and forth and they're saying some stuff. But there's just so much exposition in this game that just makes it, whatever. And this is all from the opening part of the demo. Download the demo if you like it, if you can get past it, if you can handle it. Then the game really is. It's a bunch of quests that you can do, and it's kind of the only way to talk about it. It's just a game. It's a bunch of quests. That's it. Zombies.
It's a mobile game.
I have something that I want to talk about, and then we're going to hop into what you're going to talk about. I want to hop into my game first. So
a lot of hopping.
My boy, are my arms tired. So I am. Poor Taylor's gonna die from my bad jokes. I've been playing Dolmen. Ooh, can I shrink this?
God, he made a PowerPoint.
No, it's a Google Doc thingy.
The press made a
Same
PowerPoint.
thing.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing. So Dolmen is you guys have heard of Elden Ring? Let me go full screen on this bad boy. That way you guys can.
Is this one of those Elden Rings?
Yeah, this is one of them Elden Rings, baby. I'll put us down here. So Dolmen is a Souls-like. It's a space-like game that, and I'll play the trailer here. Let's see. You guys see the trailer? You guys see the trailer?
Yeah.
All right. It's a Souls-like in space, which is actually kind of a cool idea because one of the issues I've had with Souls-likes is, again, it's always that dang medieval setting, and it's like, okay, how many times can I see a knight and a horse? Dang, another guy and a horse. What they did with Dolmen is it's a Souls-like, but it's much heavier on, like, it's basically get to a big boss, fight the boss, learn some lore about the boss, get to the next boss.
Ooh, Dark Souls.
Okay. Oh, hey, Playland is here. Yeah, it does. Dark Souls in space. But they throw in, and I'll show in a little bit, there's a lot of Dead Space and Mass Effect influence in this, in some of their systems. Dead Space from the kind of overall design of the game. Like, there's a lot of H.R. Geiger-ish stuff leaking out of walls. You're hopping across asteroids in some areas inside a ship. So it definitely kind of looks and feels like Dead Space in some areas.
Looks like Warframe.
It does have a little bit of Warframe in there too, yeah. But it has a little bit of the Mass Effect. Which Mass Effect that was much more action based was that?
2.
I think 2. It has much more Mass Effect 2 into it, into how you're kind of running around shooting at enemies and upgrading your skill trees, because there's a little bit of not really a skill tree, but there's definitely like the ability to upgrade and grind that kind of stuff, which is pretty typical. So like, it's not a difficult game. The demo at PAX was way more difficult because I felt like I was on the spot and I had kind of going in blind. Playing it now I'm playing, this is the PS5 version I was playing, and I was playing in the higher performance, higher visual fidelity mode.
He's pink.
Actually worked out a lot better. So I'll kind of guide you here real quick. You have we talked about all the different kind of bars and settings and Deadcraft. These are much easier to understand. This blue one is your
Yeah, we've all played Elden Ring, Dolly.
Yeah, Elden Ring, all these kind of stuff.
Blue is your stamina, green is your health, red is your rage meter.
Red is your health, green is your stamina, blue is how to ban Zach. No, it's as you use your special stuff, obviously your blue bar changes, and if you end up using a heal, then your blue bar gets cut in half, and you have to utilize your tools down here to kind of expand it, and you get your health or experience points and your loot and all that kind of stuff. Very easy to understand. If you've played any Souls-like, if you played any kind of action game over the last few years, action RPG. But I really like the mobility because of where you're a lot closer up in this than you are in like an Elden Ring. In Elden Ring and some of the other action games, action RPGs, your character, the camera's like pulled back a little bit more, so you see more of the 3D character. You're up a little bit closer here, like you would be in Dead Space and Mass Effect. This is a shot of me. They have a ship. You can get into the ship, and when you rescue these dudes back there, you can find them in each of these little areas that you go to. They start populating your ship and getting you stuff. There's a bunch of them out there, but yeah, look, it's very Dead Spacey. But the game's like really easy to control. The triggers are the attacks and the blocking and the parry. It's not complex controls. Like I found Elden Ring, in a way, you're bouncing around a lot on the buttons. You have to kind of you have to multitask and really know where things are. They're a lot easier I feel like to understand in Dolmen because they've pared back a lot of the stuff. This does feel like it feels like a studio's first steps on a Souls-like game, which is not a bad thing. It's just me saying they're going to the basics of what this genre is they're putting it in space, and they're letting people just kind of have fun and roam around and not be hampered by difficulty. There's still challenge, but there's not like purposeful difficulty, right? And so I do like the design elements here. Again, it looks like a lot of H.R. Geiger stuff. As you're floating around, walking around these, like, there I am taking photos of myself. And then there's a lot of these little set pieces where you walk into this hive. I forget the name of the enemy here. You'll find out in a second. I walk into the hive. This is the first boss. There it is. The Dementula. Demon.
That's from Zelda.
Yeah. That's a sculpture. No, so it's a big giant ass spider queen that you're taking down, right? So you're taking a spider queen. I got wrecked when I first faced off against her. And I thought, oh, great. This kind of sucks. It's too difficult. And I thought, you know what? Let me take some of my Elden Ring know-how, because I consider myself an expert now. Not at all. And let me grind a little bit, which is what you're supposed to do in RPGs. So I went back, did a little bit of grinding. This is, you can grind and increase your personal stats, and you can also craft weapons with more powerful stats that you're finding from some loot. And it's very simplified crafting. It's like, here's what's that?
I don't like it.
I like it because it's not overkill. It's like, pick your weapon. All right, you got enough things here. Yeah, you got enough of the pieces here. You need 2 of these and 2 of those, and then grab the bonus, the modifiers, which is like, this is the rare. This is the pyro metal, which gives you a little bit extra attack speed. And it gives you this. So it's really sort of this basic look at crafting and upgrading your skill sets. And I find that to be really good for someone like me who isn't in love with. I've always talked about saying a Souls-like, a FromSoft game. I'm gonna try it this time, and I'm not gonna like. And it's been the way every time. Even Elden Ring, as much as I like putzing around and walking around in Elden Ring and just doing random stuff, it still hasn't gotten its hooks into me. This game has its hooks in me a little bit more because it is sort of scaled back a bit. Like, it really is more about there's a little bit of a story, but we really want you to just kind of run around and do action video game type stuff. Anyways, I upgraded myself. You can see I upgraded my energy bar, my health, my stamina, my weapons. And I think I was up to level let's see, I took her on initially at level 4, and then and that's when I got clobbered, and I came back and whipped her at like level 25 after just really quickly grinding a little bit, about an hour and a half of grinding at most, and clobbered her. And it was really cool. It was just a really nice action. It's, again, not going to win any crazy awards, not going to win the best Souls-like of the year. Elden Ring's out there. But for someone who is interested in space games like I am, I love the aesthetic. I really enjoy the idea of Dolmen. Is that Dolmen is sort of this element that can allow interdimensional and time-based effects. And so when you die, your timeline gets reset and you get sucked back into where you were. And that's kind of their explanation of the whole reset system in these kinds of games. And so, yeah, really digging it. There you go. Some more. This is actually a couple images. You can see some of the cool H.R. Geiger, like what I mean by that is alien style stuff of design elements. Like, the whole first area is this, you're almost like this inside this living hive, this infested building, very Dead Space like. And you got some kind of cool color and shading. It's not going to completely blow your socks off because they announced the game and then it was out a few months later. I think they announced it back in like August or something at Gamescom, and then it's out now. I played it at PAX East. I enjoyed it at PAX East, and I'm actually really liking it here on console. And I think if you're the kind of person who is a little overwhelmed by Elden Ring and kind of Dark Souls in general, this is probably going to be more up your alley. Like, if you're, again, getting a little tired of the sword and shield and sorcery, space is the place that you might like. So that's Dolmen. I'm digging it. It's, again, not difficult, but still challenging because the boss fights are cool. The the traversal. There's a lot of ways to get around areas. They did a really good job of verticality in these places, in the sort of the maps and stuff. So yeah, I'm really digging it. And I think it's something that people might actually get a kick out of. Dolmen, enjoy. Any questions? You got anything to say, or is that basically it?
I mean, it's tough for me because we talked about it when I was at PAX. So
no,
Zach?
I think
I think you should check out the Surge. The Surge is pretty good.
I'm gonna give that a shot too, because a few folks have talked about it. But until then, I'm digging Dolmen. It's a solid 7 out of 10.
Looks interesting.
Maybe.
Yeah,
7 out of 10, which is what I'm all about. I'm all about this.
It looks like one of those. Yep.
Yeah. Cool. All right, and now Zacharias.
Okay, I got 2 quick ones. Rogue Legacy 2. I haven't talked about it on the show. It's very good. I think it needs some fixing still, but it's good. I think the way they punish you for just playing the game is kind of unfair. Like it's just like it's one of those things where you'll go to the next like room and then you'll just get hit by something. It's like, oh well, like it's like
so.
It's not really fair.
They lean a little heavy into the randomness of some of the rooms, where I mean I probably put like 25 plus hours into it by now. So you start to get a feel for it of like what do I like, but you don't want to have to like jump every single time you go into a room, dash, just because there could be a spike ball flying at your face or an enemy that's like one of the things that happens is that if you enter a room, the enemies are there. The enemies always start in the same spot. So if you leave the room and then come back, they're all there again, exactly where they were the first time. And so you, especially on harder difficulties, if you go to New Game or New Game Plus or New Game Plus Plus, it's like a core requirement. You have to go into the room, see where all the enemies are, leave, come back now that you know where they are and what you have to do to not die.
Yeah, I don't think that is a fun mechanic, and I think it should be removed. I also think some of the classes are useless and shouldn't be in the game. But besides that, it's a very good game. I like the platforming. I like how like the second area you unlock is pretty much just like a platforming focus.
Platforming, yeah.
It's really cool. It's really cool because like usually these roguelike Metroidvanias are just focused on combat. So it's really fun to just like platform for the next, hurdle. So yeah, it's fun. Definitely check it out. Yeah, it's really good though. Besides those small little nitpicks, I guess. Loot River is pretty cool.
I've been meaning to download it.
Hour of that, and it's interesting. And I don't know how they do it, but it's able to randomly generate like sliding puzzles for you as you go through these worlds, not worlds, like stages. And the sliding puzzles by themselves are really difficult, but you have to balance fighting bad guys at the same time. So it's like you're sliding a stage and you're sliding to hit a guy, sliding back and forth, or you're like trying to like maneuver all these blocks to get around. And it's pretty fun. I will say it's kind of basic. It's just like a basic kind of like Souls, like hit 'em roll type of game. But the puzzle mechanic that's at its core is really interesting. And it just kind of makes for a little hectic thing. They add like time crushes to it. Like, hey, if you reach this point by 3 minutes, you get this thing, or like, so it's pretty cool if you want to challenge yourself. It's not something I think I would like beat, but I think the core mechanics are really fucking cool. So if you want something, play that. It's cool. It's a sliding puzzle. Like that's just awesome. But yeah, so the other 2 are review games. One of them is an early access game called Turbo Overkill. Turbo Overkill it's just a boomer shooter. It's just like you're a guy fighting stuff in levels. Like it's just like imagine Hexen or like Doom. It's pretty much that, but you have a chainsaw for a leg. And you can use that to like slide and go fast, and that's just kind of it. As the early access game is pretty solid. Like they have the mechanics down. I think the fights get a little too boring because you just like crowd of guys in the circle, then you just like chainsaw them or shoot them. And the fix for that, Doom Eternal has kind of shown how to fix that, like make there be puzzles for characters, for bad guys as you fight them. I think if they adjust the game towards that, like they add more interesting ways to fight bad guys besides just shooting and running into them, it would be better. Because it's pretty basic as it is, but it's not horrible. It's not the worst boomer shooter 90s game inspired game I've played. So I'm excited to see where it goes, but I really think they should rethink how they approach combat, because it's just shooting dudes, and that's really not fun after you do it for 2 hours. But yeah, it's worth checking out. Maybe not now, but it's pretty impressive, the solid like gameplay mechanic that they have. Like it just feels good. And that says a lot. So yeah. But the big game is the Wheel of Time, which I think you should probably pull up a video of. Just pull up the Wheel of Time PC game video. This game is so interesting. It came out in 1999. It's based off the Robert Jordan fantasy series, which is like one of the most beloved fantasy series ever. And they're like, okay, let's make a video game, but what genre should we make this game? Should we make it an RPG, a tactical game? They're like, no, let's make it a first-person shooter. Let's make this fantasy game a first-person shooter. And it's really good. It is a very, very good game. It has the lore of these books.
Are you playing this for the first time, like 23 years later or whatever?
Yeah, no, and that's what I'm saying. It's like it's really good. They re-released it. Night Dive Studios did a re-release so you can play it on like modern screens and gave a bunch of modern updates to it, but it's just this still. And it's just like they have this really expansive lore from the books to play with for a story for the games, and it's really interesting. So the backdrop of the Wheel of Time is pretty much like there's a world that exists, and there's two different sides to this magic system. There's a male side and a female side. The male side corrupted the magic and tried to take over the world. The females killed all the males, and only females can use magic, and they rule the world, and they pretty much kill any man who can use magic, because any male who encounters magic goes corrupt and tries to kill everything. So that's just kind of the background.
Fairly normal.
Yeah. So the main character you play, her name is, let's see, I wrote it down over here. Her name is Eliana. She is a mage, but she's not the strongest mage. She's a pretty weak one. They're called Aes Sedai in this world. That's what they're called. And what's cool is she can only really channel magic through these tools called Terre Angriel. Terre Angriel are these like tools that people use in the world to like use for healing, use for like shooting things, use for preparing tools. And you have 40 of these relics to use. And the interesting thing is they have limited uses. So you can use them in defensive ways or off, or like a way to fight. So you grab these things, and you have to be like, okay, should I save this for now? Should I use it over here? Should I use the shield? What should I do? So there's a limited amount that you can use of these things. So it plays into the lore of the books really well, and plays into the story. It makes it really tense. Like, oh my gosh, like I could die, and you die a lot because it's hard. These bad guys are like hard to fight, but the game also will transition into like a thief kind of game where you're sneaking around in cities and like not being caught and hiding. And then sometimes you have to hunker down and build stuff and do a tower defense like game where you have to defend like yourself. So you like hide in a room and put up towers and traps and magic stuff, so you can just like live because you're just a weak person. You're just like a weak magic user, and it's really cool. And the interesting thing is, it plays really well into the start of the series of books. Like this takes place 150 years prior to the books. So, and it's considered by a lot of fans to be canon, even though it's not officially canon, because the ending plays into the books and like it feels genuine. Like it feels like the people who made the game cared and they wanted to take the lore of this world and make a game out of it, make a first person shooter like thief hexen game out of it. Like it's really interesting that and just it having this amazing lore and background makes it to have like a good story. It's just it's a good game. Which is wild. It's just like one of those rare what's the word, like licensed games that's like actually good. And it's just genuinely like quality across the board. This is the first level right here where you're just kind of learning how to use all your stuff. It
reminds me of Dusk a little bit, at least in terms of
it's definitely, I mean, that's just the boomer shooter thing. Yep. But it's like, it's crazy. It's crazy that this game exists. But like if you have $10, like buy it on GOG and play it. Like it's it's sick. It's just crazy that this exists. Those are the bad guys. Those are called Trollocs.
I need to watch the Amazon show.
No, it's bad. No,
is it bad?
Yeah, it's bad. Like it. They change a lot from the books.
Okay.
It just kind of ruins it, but whatever.
Cool.
But the books are great.
Yeah.
The books were made by Robert Jordan, who died before he finished the books, and then Brandon Sanderson, the guy I always talk about, finished this series for him. The last like 3 books. So,
dope. Okay. That's it. I think it's it for the show tonight.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I haven't played anything else, so
we had plenty there. Gents, it's Friday night. A little bit more than an hour.
Which means you know what time it is, right?
It's bedtime.
Yeah.
Very much so. It's 10:50. It's 10:20. It's shower time and then bedtime. Gentlemen,
it's bedtime.
Viewers, listeners, thank you all for joining us. You can find us everywhere. SideQuest.com, SideQuest TV. You can now find us on iHeartRadio if you look there as well. So we are literally on every. I think we're going to be on Pandora pretty soon too, which is pretty wild. So it'll add like maybe 2 more listeners. But what you can do is obviously like and subscribe on Twitch and YouTube and all that. But please subscribe, rate us, leave a comment on like iTunes, because for visibility, that really does help. The more people, the more stuff that gets engaged on there, the more we bubble up, yada, yada, yada. And the more we can get companies like Excedrin and other companies to sponsor us. Maybe we'll get Lay's potato chips or something. Who knows? Gents, have yourselves a wonderful rest of your evening. Everybody else, we'll see you next time on the Side Quest. Bye-bye.
See ya.